Okay, welcome. And the unthinkable is actually starting to happen between the USA and Canada. But not just that, we've got a lot of crazy stories that we're going to cover today. Some of them I think are going to blow your mind with just how crazy things are getting. We're going to cover US, Canada and UK predominantly, but we're also going to look at parts of Europe and China and what Germany's announced. There's a lot going on, so I'm going to summarize it all as quickly as I can in today's video. So let's start with the biggest story then. Mark Carney, we know, is the current president of Canada, the Liberal Party. He recently gave a speech, and I'll go through some of the segments of that speech. But in effect, let me summarize. He said that Canada now needs to build up, if you're watching from Canada, your military, almost double in the budget, because he believes that Trump, or President Trump, the USA, is going to invade Canada and overtake the country. He's started to get support for this from a number of EU, what are they, EU leaders, the usual suspects, the unelected leaders. He's getting support from this. He's talking about this coalition now between Europe, Australia, Canada versus, yes, I am using the word versus the US. I mean, this is crazy. I'm going to go through some of the story here, but the Telegraph picks up on this. Actually, we'll come to that in a second. The Telegraph picks up on this with Carney pledges to ramp up military spending to protect Canada against the US. He said Trump wants our land and country, and Canada is not America and never will be. So let's go over some of the things that he talked about here then. Let's go through this. So he's pledged to ramp up military spending by $17 billion against America's threat to our very sovereignty, he says. Well, firstly, I think he's really playing on this. I've never at any point heard, and please let me know if I'm wrong on this, drop it in the comments. I don't think I've ever heard President Trump say, we're going to use our military to take over Canada and we're going to invade this sovereign country and overtake it because we want it. I know he said Canada should be the 51st state of the USA. Heard him say that a lot of times, but I've never heard him say what Mark Carney is saying that President Trump is saying. I think this is a political angle for his re-election. He said then that we must prepare in light of Donald Trump's repeated threats to take over the country and absorb it into the USA. In this crisis, we have to prepare for America's threats to our very sovereignty. Everything is at stake. They want our land, our resources, they want our water, they want our country, he said in his very fiery speech. He said President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us, and that will never happen under his watch. He said it will never happen. We need to do more to recognize this, and we need a plan to deal with this new threat. I mean, this is a bit crazy to me, but let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're in Canada, maybe you believe this. Maybe you think the USA wants to send their military in and overtake it. But this is where I think he's sort of stretching a little bit, because he also talks about China. He said we're going to need to fight this on two fronts, USA to the south, China to the north. And he's doing all this, very fiery rhetoric. He said here we go, talking about transatlantic allies. In order to combat against the US. He's saying that would be Europe. We would need Europe to I mean, this is what is happening now in the world, is this massive geopolitical breakdown. All these boundary lines that we've known for a long time are starting to be redrawn, I think is the best way to say it. He goes on to say a lot more here, but he says, in the face of this threat, we have to build the strongest economy in the G7. He also said, here it is, that we need to prepare against the threat of China to the north, and that we need to invest in new military equipment, personnel, AI, and computing. So that's what he said. Now let's move over then to the, we're going to move over in a moment. In fact, I want to tell you about a couple of opportunities before I tell you about the UK and the WHO here. So if you didn't see Friday's video, you can actually win a private one-on-one day with me here at the castle on the Isle of Man. And the tickets are only £1. It's not a, by the way, I said less than $1. Originally it was going to be $1 a ticket, and then I went, you know what, it's too difficult every time to do all these exchange rates and I have to fill in all the forms with the US government. Let's just do it for £1. I'm sure people will still pay it, whether it's in dollars or pounds. So that's why I said less than $1. I meant to say less than a pound is, you get what I'm trying to say here. A lot of people said that on Friday. But yeah, you can win that if you want to come and have an experience day here. Then I'm running this prize draw because I did I did a small focus group, and I asked people in my private Patreon community, what were things that you would love to do? And a few of them were, hey, I'd love to do a meeting. I'd love to come and visit the castle, because people in the Patreon have been watching this 34, almost 35 now part video series of me buying this crumbling castle. And, you know, every month they see me all covered in mud or sweat, and I'm helping to restore all these things, and we're you know, I'm getting drenched, there's water pouring through the roof and all these other things. So that was one of the things. So I thought I'd just open this up to everybody. So if you would like to do that, it's just £1 to enter, and you could win an experience day here. So that's the first thing. The next thing I wanted to tell you about is something that I'm wondering if you have seen, and that is the opportunity with gold and silver. But this is an example of some of the crazy stuff. This was a tree falling down. An actual tree fell in the storm. Okay, so this is a post I just wrote for the Patreon. It's about this opportunity that I've just noticed. I highly recommend actually joining, even if just to read this, because what's actually happened with the gold to silver ratio, this is only the third time in history that this has happened. I wrote this post 2 days ago. So if you're not familiar, I'm making a gold and silver program course at the moment, so I'll teach you all about this. But the ratio is 100 to 2. Do you remember when I made that video many, many years ago? And it was called Why I Went All In on Silver. And it actually grew me, I don't know, 35, 45,000 subscribers, because people were so shocked that I had taken every penny I owned and I'd put it into silver. People thought I was crazy, and all these investors and everyone was commenting on that video. But there was logic behind my madness, and it was because the ratio had spiked, and I believed that silver was about to hit. And then, of course, you know the rest of the story, because I talked about it on the YouTube channel, and I doubled my money on that investment within a very short space of time. So I'm not saying, because I can't give financial advice on this channel, I'm not saying that's going to happen again. But what I am saying is just have a look for yourself, because, you know, there could be an opportunity here. Gold to silver ratio is over 100. Gold is up 44% this year. Silver is only up 18% this year. So you've got to look at the spread. You've got to look at it on the monthly. You've got to look at what's actually happening. Gold's up 13 on the month. Silver's negative on the month. So just have a look at it and look at the short squeeze as well with what's happening with the industrial metal. Okay, next one then, really important. And by the way, if you haven't joined it, you can join the Patreon below. Also the raffle link, prize draw is below. So this is what's happening with the UK at the moment. They are in a race to opt out of the WHO lockdown powers. Now, what surprises me the most about this story is that this Labour government doesn't even seem that interested in getting out of it. So there's all these people warning that the WHO is about to announce this new framework, and if the UK doesn't opt out of it, they are fixed into it, and they can't opt out after that. What sort of a organisation even says something like that? That once this thing is passed, you can't reverse it, you can't opt out. That sounds not like something that's helpful and, you know, trying to help people there. That sounds like draconian and controlling to me. So there's a handful of MPs that are warning about this. All the rest seem completely oblivious. I mean, the article says the Labour government at the moment have saying that they don't see it as an issue. It's all for the greater good. It's always the same keywords, isn't it? And Okay, here we go. This was an official Labour, a government spokesman. They said no decision has been made yet on which of the amendments are in the national interest, and they don't see anything wrong with this at this stage. Are these people that... Do you understand the expression there, yeah? Are these people mad? How can they not see? I don't even think it is that. I think it's that they know and they are in on it. They want all of these control measures because the lockdowns worked really well before, didn't they? Oh yeah, they worked really well. They absolutely destroyed the economy. And then we had this article that's just come out as well. This is Rachel Reeves. Disposable incomes plummet to the lowest level in a decade. I thought it was interesting the Telegraph used that picture of her with that headline. Somewhat ironic there. It is the lowest now. I just can't believe what they are doing. We don't even need to go through all the article. I just can't believe what they are doing to people. So pensioners, people who've worked their whole life to build up a pension, it shouldn't really be taxed anyway, I don't feel. I think they've worked for that, they've earned it, and then they get taxed on. Some of these pensions are very, very small, and yet the taxes on it is very, very high. And you would have thought with all the inflation and everything going on, they would have frozen some of these rates. Nope. They want to tax the pensioners now on everything. They're just taxing everything. And they're taking away allowances from people who really need it. And they're giving it to other people who really, sorry, I'm going to say it, some of these people who are illegally in the country, they shouldn't be in the country in the first place, and they're getting tens of thousands. In these cases, some people are getting 20, 30,000 pounds in a year worth of all of these different services and benefits. The other people, you get wounded soldiers that come home. Loads of my friends, and they didn't get any of this stuff. It's just wrong. And I'm sorry, I know some of you get upset because you're very far left that watch the channel whenever I say this stuff, but this is my view and I'm going to keep saying it because it really bothers me. It really does, all this stuff. It's just wrong. What else have they said then? There's this massive stealth raid. Now, an additional 700,000 retirees are expected to be hit with this income tax bill for the first time from next year. So if you want to live comfortably, you need an additional £2,729. That is what you now need. It's sad. What else is sad? Hospital patient had to wait more than 10 days for a bed. Can you believe this? They did this undercover. Well, it's not even undercover. They did this report now. Patients are being left to wait hours and sometimes days on trolleys in hospital corridors because the system is overwhelmed. Around 49,000 accident and emergency patients had to wait 24 hours or more for a hospital bed in England last year. Just, ladies and gents, coming from America, I know some of you still have this, you romanticize this beautiful England and everything like that. There is parts like that, and I'm happy to give you recommendations of where to go. But don't get sick in England or London or any of these big cities. Do not get sick. Do not have any accidents. You're screwed, basically. I mean, be very careful. But there are some beautiful places you can still go. The Lakes District, the North Yorkshire Dales, the Cotswolds. There's loads of beautiful places that you can still come to, and you can get that quaint English feel, the cottages that you can rent in the countryside with the river and the mountain. You can still get all that. But in the cities, it is an absolute hellhole. Just be aware of that. It's true. Don't take my word for it. Watch videos on it. It's true. This is just staggering. It is absolutely staggering. This, over the last 3 years, the percentage of those waiting age 65 or over remained consistent at about 70%. And actually, we think the real numbers are a lot higher because only 54 out of the 141 trusts actually even provided the data. Okay, let's keep whizzing through. 1 in 5 teachers hit or punched by pupils in the last year. Shocking survey reveals. This was a teacher that gave her sort of she was talking to the media about this, saying how often she was assaulted. She got PTSD as a result. 40% of teachers that were surveyed have experienced physical abuse or violence, i.e. physically abused by pupils in the last 12 months. And you know what was so crazy about this to me? And please, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. When I was at school, in all of those years, from what, 3-4 years old, all the way through to 16, because you left at 16 in those days, and I definitely left and joined the army, right? So in all those years, I only once ever saw a pupil assault a teacher. And that was because he had special needs. It was a kind of trial at the school, but he was very violent and had some issues, so he had to go to a special school. That was the only time I ever saw that, and I never heard of this before, ever. So if you're a teacher, please drop a comment. I'd love to read your personal experience on this. I've never heard of this in my whole life, and now all of a sudden I'm hearing it from my friends who are teachers, and I see this news report on it. What on earth is going on? I'd love to see the data on who it is, like the kids and the families and everything else, because remember, kids learn from their parents. So there's obviously something going on there. I'd have to see all the reports and understand this a little deeper as to why this is going on. Or is it that they're watching too many of these violent games and movies, playing games all the time? I think it's probably a combination of these things that's going on. But I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Let's keep going. We've got a lot more to go through. This one. Families now feel unsafe because people are putting up flags on lampposts and in their area. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I feel so unsafe. A British flag flying in a housing development. This is outrageous. I cannot believe a British flag is flying in Britain. What an outrage. These men, the police are investigating for putting up flags. They are, I mean, let's just be honest, they're criminals. Criminals putting up patriotic British flags in their neighborhood. Oh my goodness. People are so offended, and it's a hate crime. Oh my goodness. Nonsense. Another thing then, here we go out of Politico. You may have missed this story because it didn't happen this week. Germany is putting a permanent troop deployment on NATO's eastern flank now. And as I was going through and reading this a little more, I saw this image. And I thought, hold on, who's this guy? He's fast asleep. He's on parade there, he's fast asleep. But as I looked into the image more, it got even more weird. Who's this guy in the middle? What's he up to? I'm not sure. And why is this guy got an American flag stuck to his forehead here in the background? I don't know. It's a really weird story. Really weird indeed. China is warning countries against striking trade deals with the US as well today at its expense. Sent a lot of warnings out to other countries. So this is really heating up. They've just done a deal with Indonesia for the South China Sea. This is what that looks like on the map here. This is very strategic from China. Here's China. Here's South Korea, Japan here, which borders them to the east. What have they done? Let's see who spots this. What have they done here? This is Indonesia. That is a very strong blockade here to the south. What else? Okay, we don't need to talk about all the other bits here. There was a half marathon. I thought there was a half marathon with they used these AI bots for the first time, these robots, and everyone's laughing about the fact that they didn't beat a human. Well, no, they haven't beat a human this year, but just watch for next year. I'm pretty sure they're going to get closer and closer and closer. It reminds me of, you remember when they first laughed at these chess models, these computers? Said, oh, you'll never beat anyone at chess. And then next thing you know, it beats the grandmaster and no one can beat it. Well, that is going to be what happens with these AI robots in the future. So laugh now, but we'll be running at some point, no doubt. All right. Thanks so much for being online. I really appreciate it. Remember to look at the prize draw I mentioned, also the Patreon for the gold to silver post on there. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you in a couple of days. Take care. God bless. See you next time.